If you're hearing this message right now, I want you to know it's not by accident. You didn't stumble upon these words by chance. There's something inside you, something deep, something unshaken, that has always been there. Have you ever felt it? That quiet pull in your chest, that unshakable knowing that there's more to your life than what you see around you? Maybe you can't quite explain it, maybe you don't even have the words for it, but it's there. It's always been there. A whisper in the stillness, a force that nudges you in moments of uncertainty, a longing, a calling, a sense that you were meant for something greater, even if the world around you never quite understood. You see, life has a way of making us forget who we truly are. From the moment we take our first breath, we are shaped by the voices around us. We're told what to believe, how to behave, what's possible and what isn't. We're given labels, roles, expectations, and sometimes in the process, we lose sight of the deeper truth inside us. We start to mistake limitation for reality. We start to shrink, to silence that voice, to convince ourselves that maybe we were wrong to believe we were meant for more. But deep down, that voice never goes away. It waits, it watches, it calls out time and time again. And if you're here, listening to this, then I know you've heard it too. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me tell you a story. There was once an eagle, a magnificent creature born to soar across endless skies. But before it could even open its eyes, its egg was placed in a chicken's nest. And so, when it finally hatched, the first thing it saw was the world of the chickens. It walked like them, scratched the ground like them, lived as one of them. It was never told it was different, never told it was meant for more. It only knew what it had seen. But every now and then, the eagle would look up. It would see birds soaring high above, riding the wind with effortless grace. And something inside, it would stir, a longing, a knowing, a whisper that said, "You were made for this." But how could that be true? It had never flown. No one around it had ever flown. The chickens would laugh, shake their heads, tell the eagle not to be foolish. "The sky is not for us," they would say. "We were made to stay on the ground." And so the eagle hesitated. It wanted to believe in that whisper, that calling inside, but fear held it back. Doubt silenced its wings before they could ever open, until one day the wind shifted. A storm rolled in, strong and fierce. The chickens ran for shelter, terrified of the raging sky. But the eagle felt something different. It felt the power of the wind, the energy of the storm. And in that moment, the whisper inside became a roar. It spread its wings for the first time. And the moment it felt the wind beneath, it knew the sky had always been waiting for it. I want you to think about that for a moment. How many times in your life have you felt that whisper? How many moments have you looked around and felt like something was missing? Like you weren't meant to live the way everyone else around you does? Maybe people told you to be realistic, to play it safe, to stay small. Maybe they convinced you that your dreams were too big, your calling too uncertain, your voice too different. But if that voice inside you is still speaking, then it's because you were never meant to stay on the ground. If you're here, listening to this right now, this is your moment. That whisper inside you, that knowing that won't go away, that's not your imagination. That's your truth. That's your calling. That's the part of you that has always known you were meant to rise. The question is, will today be the day you finally listen? Will today be the day you spread your wings and step into who you were always meant to be? If you can hear it now, louder than ever, let me know in the comments. Type "I am listening" to mark this moment. Because once you hear it, truly hear it, there's no turning back. Not everyone understands the journey of the chosen. It's not the path of those who rise effortlessly, who find success without struggle, who always seem to have the answers. No, the chosen are not those who were recognized from the start. They are the ones who, Despite every fall, every failure, every moment of doubt, continue searching for something greater. That you may have felt this yourself. The sense that your life has never followed the easy road. That while others seem to move forward with certainty, you often found yourself lost, questioning, facing trials that felt too heavy to bear. Maybe you've looked around and wondered why your path has been so different, why the struggles, why the setbacks, why the feeling that no one quite understands what you carry inside. But let me tell you something that may change the way you see it all. Every chosen one walks through the fire before they rise. Every great soul, every leader, every person who was ever meant for something extraordinary has faced what felt like unbearable isolation. And it's not because they were abandoned, it's because they were being prepared. There's a test that every chosen one must endure, and that test is isolation. At some point in your life, you may have felt like you didn't belong, like the things that moved you, the things that called to you, were not the same as what others cared about. Maybe you tried to fit in, to silence that inner voice just to feel connected to those around you. But no matter how much you tried, there was always a gap, an unseen wall between you and the world. That was not a mistake. That was your shaping. A calm river never shapes the rock. It is the rushing waters, the force of the storm, the relentless waves that carve out beauty from the stone. And so it is with your journey. The moments of pain, the moments of doubt, the times when you felt forgotten, those were the very forces sculpting you into who you were always meant to be. Think of Moses. Before he became a leader, before he parted the sea, before he led his people to freedom, he was lost in the wilderness. He wandered, uncertain, removed from everything he had known. But it was in that desert that he was prepared. It was in that solitude that he became strong enough to carry the calling placed upon him. Or think of any great figure throughout history. People who changed the world did not begin their journey in comfort. They began in struggle. They began in moments when they questioned if they were even meant for something greater. They began with doubt, with failure, with rejection, and yet they didn't stop. That is what makes a chosen one, not talent, not recognition, not an easy path, but the ability to rise again and again, even when the weight of life tries to push them down. I want to ask you something. What if everything you've been through, every challenge, every heartbreak, every unexpected detour was never meant to break you? What if it was meant to prepare you? What if your pain was not a punishment, but a lesson? What if right now your life is trying to teach you something? I want you to think about that. Reflect on everything you've walked through. The struggles that nearly broke you, the moments that felt unfair, the seasons of waiting, of wondering, of feeling unseen. What if those were not signs that you were forgotten, but signs that you were being shaped? Because here's the truth: those who are meant for great things are never given an easy road. But if you are here, listening to this, then I know one thing with certainty. You were never meant to stay in the struggle. You were meant to rise from it. Now tell me, what has your own life been trying to teach you? Share it in the comments. Because when we begin to see our struggles not as obstacles, but as preparation, everything changes. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey where a decision must be made. A moment where the voice inside grows too loud to ignore. A moment where the signs become undeniable. But even then, doubt lingers. How do you know if there is truly a destiny waiting for you? How do you know if this is the right time to step forward? Maybe you've felt this before: the hesitation, the uncertainty, the fear of making the wrong choice. You sense that something is calling you, but what if you're not ready? What if you step forward and fail? What if it's all in your head? Doubt is one of the greatest battles every chosen one must face. Not doubt from the world, doubt from within. That quiet voice that asks, what if I'm wrong? But here's something I need you to understand. You are not walking this path alone. The universe, God, the divine, whatever name you give, That greater force, it has been speaking to you all along. It has been guiding you, nudging you, placing signs in your path. The problem is, most people don't recognize them. They dismiss them as coincidence, as random moments, as things that don't really mean anything. But what if they do? What if every time you thought about giving up, and then suddenly heard a song that spoke exactly to your soul, that was a sign? What if the stranger who gave you unexpected words of encouragement was sent to remind you of your purpose? What if that dream that felt so real, so vivid, was more than just your imagination? Signs come in ways we least expect. Through words, through people, through sudden shifts in our lives. And often, through things that seem small at first, until we look back and realize they were never small at all. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who had always felt a deep pull towards something greater. He didn't know exactly what it was, only that his life, the way it was, didn't feel right. He had a good job, a stable life, everything society told him he should want. But deep inside, something felt missing. Time and time again, he felt the universe trying to speak to him. Random conversations with strangers who told him things that felt too personal to be coincidence. Dreams that woke him up in the middle of the night, leaving him with a feeling he couldn't shake. That inner voice telling him, there is more for you. But every time he ignored it. I'm just imagining things, he told himself. This is just life. Everyone feels this way. And so he stayed where he was. He silenced that voice. He pushed down the feeling that there was something more. Until one day, everything changed. He lost his job. His relationship ended. Everything he thought was secure came crashing down. And for the first time, he was forced to sit in the silence. And that's when he finally heard it. That voice, the one he had ignored for so long, was still there. Stronger than ever, not punishing him, not scolding him, but waiting for him. And in that moment, he realized the universe had been speaking all along. It had given him gentle signs, quiet nudges. And when he ignored them, it sent louder ones. Not to hurt him, but to wake him up. To push him toward the life he was always meant to live. Now, I want to ask you something. What if the signs have already been there for you too? What if they've been showing up in your life, time and time again, but you've brushed them aside? Because here's the truth, the next sign is coming, soon, maybe even today. Maybe in the words of a stranger, maybe in a dream, maybe in a moment of stillness where you feel something stir inside you. Will you notice it this time? Will you be ready to listen? I want you to think about it. And if you've ever had a moment where life seemed to be trying to tell you something, share it in the comments. Let's open our eyes together. Let's see what's been waiting for us all along. Saying yes to your calling isn't as simple as flipping a switch. It's not a sudden moment where all fear disappears, where all doubt vanishes, where you suddenly feel fully prepared to step into who you were meant to be. No, what happens first is resistance. The moment you decide to embrace your path, to stop running from the voice inside you, something else rises up. Fear, doubt, the feeling that maybe you're not ready, that maybe this path is meant for someone stronger, someone wiser, someone better equipped than you. This is the first battle of every chosen one. The battle between the part of you that knows you were meant for more, and the part of you that is afraid to leave behind what is familiar. May feel this right now. You may sense that inner war, the call pulling you forward, and the doubt holding you back. The truth is, every person who has ever stepped into their purpose has felt this way. No one begins with certainty. No one begins with all the answers, because saying yes isn't about knowing exactly where the road leads. It's about trusting that the road is there, even when you can't see it. But something incredible happens when you take that first step. Your mind begins to shift. You start to see things differently. Saying yes to your calling does not mean instant perfection. It doesn't mean that suddenly all obstacles disappear. It simply means that you have made a commitment to walk with awareness, to move with purpose, to stop fighting against the current and start flowing with where life is trying to take you. You don't have to get it right every time. You don't have to have every step planned out. You just have to be willing to walk. Let me tell you something powerful. Even the smallest decisions can change everything. There was once a woman who felt lost in life. She had spent years in a job that drained her, surrounded by people who didn't understand her, feeling like she was just moving through the motions, waiting for something, though she wasn't sure what. One day, she heard something, a message, a whisper inside, telling her to start listening, to start paying attention, to start saying yes to what she had always ignored. But she was afraid. She thought, I don't even know where to begin. And so she started small. Instead of ignoring her intuition, she leaned in. Instead of brushing off the signs, she started noticing them. Instead of doubting every feeling, she asked, what if this is real? One day, she said yes to something that seemed insignificant, a conversation with a stranger. That conversation led to an opportunity. That opportunity led to a new path. That new path led to a life she never imagined possible. And it all started with one yes. What if your journey is waiting for the same thing? What if all the doors that seem closed are simply waiting for you to stop pushing against them and start flowing with where life is trying to take you? Because here's the truth, when you resist, life feels like an uphill battle. It feels exhausting, frustrating, confusing. But when you stop fighting the current and allow yourself to trust, everything begins to shift. This is what I call the flow. The flow is what happens when you stop forcing, stop overthinking, stop trying to control every detail, and instead allow. When you trust, when you listen, when you step into the current instead of swimming against it, and suddenly, things start making sense. Suddenly, the right people appear. The right opportunities show up. The path that once seemed hidden becomes clear. Not because it wasn't there before, but because you finally stopped resisting it. So I ask you, are you ready to step into the flow? Are you ready to stop questioning every sign, stop second-guessing your purpose, and start trusting that you are being led exactly where you are meant to go? If you are, then say it. Write it. Declare it. Type I say yes in the comments. Because when you say yes, when you truly commit, life begins to unfold in ways you never imagined possible. There comes a moment in every journey when everything shifts. The moment when you realize that you were never truly lost. That every struggle, every doubt, every unanswered question was not a sign of abandonment, but a step in your preparation. This is the moment of liberation. Up until now, you may have carried the weight of uncertainty. You may have wondered if you were on the right path, if you were truly meant for something greater, if you had what it takes to step into your purpose. But now something inside you feels different, because now, you know, you were never alone. You were never wandering without direction. Even in the moments when you felt like you had no answers, life was guiding you. The universe, God, the unseen forces that have been shaping your path, they were always there, whispering, waiting for you to reach this very moment. And now you stand at the threshold of something new, a new reality, a new way of moving through life, a way of seeing, of understanding, of stepping forward not with fear, but with trust. Because here's what separates those who remain lost from those who find their purpose. It's not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It's the ability to embrace the unknown, to step forward even when the full picture isn't clear, to accept that certainty isn't required for action. The ones who create meaning in their lives are the ones who stop waiting for the perfect moment and start saying yes to the one they have right now. And right now, your journey begins. Something inside you has shifted. You feel it. You know it. Your steps from this moment forward will be different. You won't ignore the signs anymore. You won't silence that inner voice. You won't shrink yourself just to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Because now you understand your calling was never outside of you. It was always within, waiting for you to be ready. And now, you are. You've heard life calling before. You've felt the pull, the whisper, the nudge. But today is different. Because today, you don't just hear it. You're ready to answer. And I want you to mark this moment. Not just in your mind, but in action. If these words resonated with you, if something inside you is stirring, if you know that this message was meant for you, I want you to declare it. Leave a comment. Share your experience. Tell me what part of this journey spoke to you the most. What have you realized? Because this is not just about hearing a message. It's about stepping into a new reality. It's about connection. It's about community. And I want you to know you are not walking this path alone. There are others, just like you, feeling this shift, stepping into their truth, embracing their calling. And together, we rise. Together, we walk this path, not as strangers, but as a family of souls who were always meant to find each other. So say it, share it, step into it, because your journey doesn't start tomorrow. Your journey starts now.